Are we about to witness the biggest IP shift in theme park history? Last week, a rumor blew up online claiming that Warner Brothers owned DC Comics is in talks with Universal Studios about bringing DC-themed attractions to their parks. And once that rumor dropped, the internet went wild with speculation. People started throwing out every theory imaginable. Some claimed Superhero Island at Islands of Adventure could be rethemed to DC. Others said DC might be headed to Epic Universe or even the brand new Universal UK resort currently under construction. And look, on paper, that all sounds incredibly exciting. But the more I thought about it, the more skeptical I became. This rumor raises a lot of questions, and I wanted real answers. So today, I'm doing a full deep dive. In this video, I'll be talking about where this rumor actually came from, how this could even work with Six Flags holding the DC Comics license, which other parks besides Universal might make a play for DC first, and finally, what DC coming to Universal would mean for all of us, especially with Universal's exclusive Marvel contract on the East Coast. There is a lot to unpack here, so let's get into it. This whole thing really caught fire after a Bloomberg report on December 4th. According to their sources, Warner Brothers Discovery has been in early talks with several theme park operators, including Universal, about licensing out DC Comics for new attractions. Bloomberg even outright mentioned that Universal has shown interest in adding DC characters to their parks. This rumor also dropped right in the middle of a heated corporate battle. Netflix and Paramount have been both aggressively trying to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, and the back and forth has turned into one of the most talked about bidding wars in the industry today. We're talking about a potential deal valued at over $100 billion, and every day new layers and complications get added to this fight. So now we have a DC Comics theme park rumor that started with legitimate reporting from Bloomberg, then immediately got tangled up in a massive corporate takeover. And that's why everyone is suddenly wondering what the future of Warner Brothers, and more specifically DC Comics licensing, is going to look like moving forward. And of course, the more important question for today's video here is, what does this actually mean for theme park fans? So the big question is, could DC Comics actually get a major theme park shakeup and land at a giant like Universal? Honestly, with a sale this massive on the horizon, it's almost guaranteed that whoever ends up owning Warner Brothers will be looking to make their money back fast. And one of the easiest ways to do this would be by licensing out valuable IP to theme parks. That led me to my first thought. Well, wait a second. Doesn't Six Flags already have the DC license? They do. But that alone wouldn't stop Universal if the new owners decided to expand DC's reach. Six Flags first picked up the DC Comics license all the way back in 1992, striking a major long-term deal with Warner Brothers. That gave them access to the full lineup of DC characters, and honestly, it was a steal of a deal. As long as Six Flags keeps paying the annual licensing fees, they've been able to hold on to the DC brand for decades. While DC characters are exclusive to Six Flags in North America, that could all be changing very soon. But here's the part most people don't realize. Six Flags doesn't have exclusive rights to DC Comics. Warner Brothers can license DC to other parks anytime they want, and they already do. Just look at Warner Brothers Movie World in Australia, Spain, and Dubai. Those parks have full DC-themed lands, rides, shows, the whole package. So, no, Six Flags is not the sole home of DC in the theme park world. And that brings us to the current situation and state of Six Flags today. Six Flags hasn't exactly been the most stable company over the years. They've gone through multiple bankruptcies, constant leadership changes, CEO shakeups, and even after merging with Cedar Fair, the future still feels uncertain. The company is currently heavily focused on cutting overhead costs, and they've shown they're willing to take drastic steps to do it. closing rides, shuttering parks. Combine that with an ongoing rebrand and a major cost-cutting initiative, it's not impossible to imagine a scenario where Six Flags chooses not to renew the DC licensing deal. And if you're Warner Brothers, especially under new ownership, it makes perfect sense to start exploring bigger, more stable, and more lucrative opportunities for the DC brand in the theme park space. So that brings us back to the rumors sparked by Bloomberg and their inside sources. The report claimed that Warner Brothers has been speaking with multiple theme park operators and Universal was named directly. So the big question becomes, who else would Warner Brothers even be talking to about this? There aren't many theme park companies with the kind of money or scale that Warner Brothers is looking for. Realistically, the list comes down to Universal and Disney. Disney doesn't feel likely to me. Disney is fully committed to Marvel. They spent billions acquiring it, and the MCU has been one of the biggest success stories in entertainment history. Why would Disney want to license out their parks to promote the competing superhero brand? Why help elevate DC, the one company their IP directly goes head-to-head with? And on top of that, Disney is already buried under a decade's worth of planned projects. They barely have room for what they've already announced, which leaves Universal as the most logical option on the table. Universal has been expanding aggressively for years, building new parks, acquiring land, and branching into regional experiences like Horror Unleashed and their new family resort opening in Texas. They have the resources, the space, and the momentum to take on a massive IP like DC Comics. And let's be real here, Universal would love to have something that can stand toe-to-toe with Disney's Marvel. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Universal technically already holds the rights to Marvel on the East Coast. But that land, Superhero Island, is nearly 30 years old, and their contract doesn't allow them to add new characters or update anything to match modern Marvel. What they have today is essentially a time capsule, a 1990s comic book world frozen in place. It's charming, it's nostalgic, but it's also, and I hate to say this, pretty outdated. And it doesn't exactly help Universal that it indirectly promotes Disney's biggest rival IP, which brings up a hypothetical scenario that a lot of fans have talked about. What if Universal sold the East Coast Marvel rights back to Disney? They'd get a massive payout for that. Disney would finally get to unify Marvel across all of their parks, and Universal could turn around and invest that money straight into DC. Superhero Island could be completely reimagined as a DC land, updated, modern, and actually expandable. It doesn't have to stay frozen in time for another 30 years. Universal loses an outdated land they can't even legally improve on, but gain an IP with limitless potential. So with all of that in mind, maybe Universal wouldn't mind letting go of Marvel after all. Disney moves slowly, and their Marvel presence in California hasn't exactly shaken the earth. It might not be the huge strategic threat people assume. And here's the thing, Universal doesn't even have to give up Marvel to do DC. They could just easily say, you know what? We like this retro Marvel land. We'll keep it. And we'll build DC somewhere else. No matter how you look at it, Marvel or no Marvel, Universal has multiple paths to bringing DC Comics into their parks if Warner Brothers decides to make that move. For now, it's a waiting game. The Warner Brothers sale should come into focus over the next few weeks. And once it does, don't be surprised if the conversations about DC and theme parks starts bubbling up again. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you here to the very end watching this video. If you enjoyed it, if you got some insight from this video, hit that like button. And please leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this whole topic. Let me know your ideas. And where do you think DC Comics is going to land in the near future? But that's it for now. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care and peace out.